Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be distributed and recorded by Simeon Moore Public Speaking Presentations, Vienna Live with Simeon Moore, and other third parties. If you prefer to not be recorded, please turn off your camera and or microphone and or go to the LinkedIn live video feed, the link to which I'll now place in the chat room. For a better experience, please turn off your microphone and set your video to gallery view. This show thrives on participant contributions, and all participants are encouraged to actively participate in this webinar by asking questions and making comments. To do so, please either write in the chat room, raise your hand, or turn on your microphone to say hi, and I'll be delighted to include your perspective in the conversation. Tonight, our featured guests are Jean Kellogg, Executive Director of the Merola Opera Program, Professor Niels Muus, Music Director and Professor for Opera at the Central Academy of Drama, Beijing, Professor Shi Lei, Professor for Opera at the Central Academy of Drama, Beijing, and Sahel Salam, a tenor and returning artist at the Merola Opera Program. Also joining us tonight is Dr. Lino Rivera, Professor of Music at St. Mary's College of California. Jean, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here, and thank you for asking me back again. It's wonderful to see all of you.
So Jean, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about what your reaction was when you first heard about the Merola Opera Program.
Well, I've been at Merola for almost 12 years now as executive director, and I've worked at a number of other opera companies. I was with Lyric Opera Chicago, and way back when it was Greater Miami Opera, is now Florida Grand Opera. And I also was at the Hilton Performing Arts Center in Manassas, Virginia, as well as the Levine School of Music in Washington, D.C. As dean there. So I've had quite a bit of experience in all areas of education. And but Merola to me was the epitome of opera education in the United States, actually in the world. I don't exactly recall when I first heard about it, but I suspect it was in the late 80s when I was working at Miami Opera and was hearing and seeing some of these young artists who had been through the program. So I looked into it and I saw who had been through the program. It was the who's who of the opera world had been through this intensive training program here. And since then, it's just been an incredible knowledge gathering of where people are going and what they're doing. And because I've been here 12 years, I am now seeing some of the artists early on in my career here are having huge careers. And it's so much fun to see them grow and succeed, and it's just fantastic. And when I first heard about Merola, I was a pianist. So I thought, no, it's well beyond me. I don't think I can handle the competition. I couldn't handle the intensity. And I still think that now. Having been here for 12 years and knowing what you have to go through, I said, yeah, I probably wouldn't have survived as a pianist. So I'm just happy to be a major part of this and see the program grow and be very sustainable at this point in time.
Okay, Professor Shi, welcome. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at the Central Academy of Drama, and tell us if you've heard of this Merola Opera Program before. As Jean said, it's very renowned in the United States, in Europe. Tell us maybe a little bit about yourself and about the opera training in China and what you've heard about or what you've taken part of in the United States and Europe.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm Professor Shi Lei, and I'm a tenor. Yeah, and now I'm the leader of the opera department of the Central Academy of China. So my academy is the most important academy of drama in whole of China. Yeah. And yes, and our department is opera department. It's completely Western opera department. So now we rebuild our undergraduate education for 10 years, but our academy is built for 70 or 80 years. So our opera department is a new department. Yeah, and in recent years, in recent 5 or 6 years, we made 6 operas, the whole operas. And yes, we are young, but we are not. We have enough experiences for producing operas. Yeah, please forgive me. My English may not good. So I try my best to express what I want to say.
Your English is excellent,
And,
Professor Shi, and we really
yes,
appreciate it. And thank you so much for this insight. It's quite a privilege to have you on tonight. Professor Muus, can you tell us a bit about yourself and the work that you're doing over there at the Central Academy for Drama?
Yeah. Yes, I've been here the last 3 years. It has been very difficult because of the pandemic, and I couldn't, of course, enter. Now I'm back again. China is open, and I am allowed to come and go as I want here in China. And I am very attracted to this academy because of the big amount of young talent that is here. And it is, I see it as a challenge to combine the world. If we are living in a difficult world where it's going in many opposite directions, but if we can do something to combine friendship, combine cultural achievement in this world, and I can be a little part of it, I'm very, very happy to do that. And I must say the talent here is extraordinary. And I'm quite sure also, if I see how the talent mass is developing in Europe, and where, of course, I belong, I must say we really need all this. We need this openness to the new world in order to maintain the quality of our opera business.
Fantastic. And it should be pointed out that Professor Muus, he is well known in Europe, in the United States, and now in China as an opera conductor, as an opera pedagogue, opera trainer. So it's a very, very our privilege also to have you, Professor Muus. So let's take a look at our first video of the Merola Opera program. Fantastic. So this brings us to our first roundtable. What is an opera training program and why is Merola considered extraordinary? Quote, the Merola Opera Program's mission is to define the future of opera. The program is an internationally respected model for building strong careers in opera with a proven balance of training, performance, and individualized support. Merola trains and develops the finest young opera singers, pianists, coaches, and stage directors, and invites passionate supporters to be part of the journey, end quote. So that is from Merola's mission statement. So Jean and Professors Muus and Sahel, what defines an opera training program and why is Merola considered so extraordinary?
Well, if I may start, Merola is one of the very few that combines intensive training with performance opportunities, professional performance opportunities. Many of them out there provide one or the other, but not so much where the young artists are singing lead roles, where they are at Merola, plus bringing in the finest teachers from around the world to work with them on a daily basis. They have coachings, lessons, and everything you can name. And I know Sahel can give a more intricate talk about what he does on a daily basis as a Merolini. He was here with us in 2022 and coming back again this summer. We're excited to have him back. Sahel, you want to go?
I think it's to continue on that point, how when you think about a training program for a young opera singer, the commitment to this craft and how long these careers should span, and to consider also the timeline of all of these achievements that one must have achieved prior to actually being able to maintain a long-standing career in the field. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult journey because you're always anticipating the anatomical changes as well. The voice is not born in the setting that you must have to sing at the Met. You have to develop it, you have to craft it, and you have to have the knowledge and the understanding of people wiser than you and people experienced in the field. And at Merola, you're provided with access not only to coaches and teachers and conductors and other incredible musicians that you get to work with every day. You're also introduced to some of the people in the field who have been doing it for 30, 40 odd years. Such as last summer, for example, to have in residence Michelle Kreider, one of the most renowned dramatic sopranos of our day. It was truly an existential sort of moment to realize, do I belong here? That question is answered when you get to work with these sort of people who get to guide you, and you start to realize what the path looks like ahead.
And Sahel, maybe to continue talking about you, tell us about how you got into singing and then that, as you say, that existential moment when you became a Merola artist. Tell us about the difference and up to that moment.
Well, that moment in particular was one I wasn't expecting. It's been now what, 13 years I've been working on my voice. I've been studying since I was about 14 or 15 years old, but I'd never considered what all was out there, what all was possible. I had been studying for all this time, and finally, at some point, as a young singer, you have to jump out and reach out and take a chance on some of these auditions. So there are many programs around the country, but Merola is always at the top of everyone's list if they believe they can get it. Last year, I was fortunate to have an audition in front of wonderful people like Carrie Ann Matheson and Marcus Beam at Merola, and they saw my talent immediately and offered me a spot there. I mean, 12, 13 years in the making, and finally a program was willing to invest their time and their effort, and I will tell you that it was a life-changing experience. First to have been accepted, and then to finally arrive and to do the hard work that lay before us. I mean, we were able to put together Mozart's Die Zauberflöte or the Magic Flute. I mean, really, to have the experience of singing on those big stages, to sing with these amazing, amazing singers from all over the world. Some of these people have won some of the most prestigious competitions in the world for opera. And to be together as a team, working towards a common goal with standards that have been set high before arrival, it encourages you to not let up, to be very resilient, and to have the mental fortitude to see that the job is never done. You will never be perfect, but continual work and continual polishing can always make a magic for the audience. And Merola is exceptionally great at bringing that from young singers.
Fantastic. So now I'd like to bring in Professor Lino Rivera of St. Mary's College of California. Hi, Lino.
Hello, hello everybody. I have a question for Jean. With all the applications, I'm sure you have all these great singers, young talents that are applying for the program, but you have limited space. So my question is, and please answer in detail, what are you looking for the singers in order for them to be accepted in the program?
Well, it starts with basic talent. We had over 1,300 applicants this year, and they all sent in videos for us to listen to. And Marcus Bean and Carrie Ann Matheson listened to every single one of those preliminary auditions. And from there, generally what Carrie Ann does is not look at their resume. She just listens to the voice and goes from there, puts it, oh, I want to see more about this person. So they're looking for great talent. They are looking for, and then they look at the resumes and see who has enough experience to be able to withstand the intensive nature of the program. And they also are looking for great diversity in bringing in people who may not have otherwise been able to come to Merola if they didn't have a chance to audition in their neighborhood. So we expanded our auditions to both Houston and Atlanta so we can reach more people in addition to New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. So it's varied. Our young artists range from fresh green right out of college who haven't had much experience at all but show extraordinary talent, to those who are ready to really step out on the main stage and do a major career. Like Sahel, he said he was working for 14 years on this, and he's here and he's ready to go. But there are some that are coming back this year that have been very green, or they are very green, and they show in tremendous potential, and Merola is the perfect place for them to give them that opportunity to see what tools they need, give them the tools they need to have a successful career.
So I'd like to bring in Professor Shi. Professor Shi, you said that you are a tenor yourself. Can you tell us a bit about your own career as a singer of Western opera in China, and then how you audition people and find the talented students to come to the Central Academy of Drama?
Yeah. I studied opera from a Central Conservatory of Music of China. Yeah, the other important conservatory in China. Yes, and I performed Tamino from Les Notes, Die Zauberflöte, and Tonio, La Figlia del Reggimento, and also Morino from Elisi d'Amore, and Don Curzio from Le Nozze Figaro, and Coro from Madama Butterfly, and some opera performed in Italy and Austria, Deutschlandberg, Italia in Brescia, Milano, and some other cities. Because from my 30, when I was 30 years old, I began to study in Milano with Maestro Tenore Maestro Vittorio Terranova, and till now, for a long time, never stopped. And I knew many technique and and knowledge from Italian opera. And now in our academy, in recent 10 years, our academy, we have so many full of talent, young singers, and I taught them. I taught them as much as possible. I studied. I don't know if I.
No,
Okay, and some of my students are when the get on the stage of the Staatsoper, such named Giorgio. Yes, now he is just in Vienna and studying and singing there. Of course, Maestro Muus helped our student so much. Yes, and this, as you know, opera is completely from Western. This is a different. It's a different culture from the Chinese culture. So we must keep more close and communicate with American and Europe. So I know it's not easy, but we will keep our focus on this opera subject, and so okay, Maestro. I'm
Fantastic.
sorry, Mr.
no.
Yes.
Of course. As I said before, there's an incredible amount of talent.
Yeah.
And there's also a very good discipline of work. And of course, this is a school where people there are working very hard. And we have had now. I took some students from the Central Academy to University in Vienna, and 3 of them has already made the debut at the Wiener Staatsoper. And of course, I think that is a wonderful thing for this institution here also. They can also act as, what to say, forebuild.
An example.
Example, like for all the other students, that what you can achieve. And there I think, of course, I know Jean, and I appreciate Jean very much. And Europe had never really the connection to a Merola program that Europe should have. And I don't know really about Asia, but I think it is time, and that's also maybe what we can talk about tonight, that also maybe in the future for this wonderful program, Merola program, I must say the long-time achievements speak for itself. There's nothing more to say. But it really should, I feel, should open up to the whole world and be the program #1 for the whole world for the transition between study and professional career.
Okay.
And there, I think there's a lot to discuss also, and not only to sit back and lean back and see how can this program also develop in the future.
Fantastic. So all of this talk about Mozart makes me want to hear Sahel singing some. So here he is singing Tamino.
Dies Welt
Fantastic. Bravo, Sahel, fantastic. Let's now go to our second roundtable, which is about the Central Academy of Drama in Beijing. So I want to just give people a little bit of an overview and then ask you, Professor Shi and Professor Muus, to kind of tell us a little bit more about, give us a little bit of an overview of this. So on the English webpage of the Central Academy of Drama, the Central Academy of Drama describes itself as, quote, the first theater higher educational institution of the People's Republic of China, and now it is affiliated to China's Ministry of Education. The history of the Central Academy of Drama dates back to 1938, when Yan An Lu Shun Art College was established. The Central Academy of Drama officially opened in 1949 and held the inaugural conference in 1950. Chairman Mao Zedong inscribed the official name in calligraphy. In the Academy's long-term history, it continues to uphold the principle of realism and inherits Chinese aesthetic traditions, as well as carefully absorbs from other cultures. The institution commits itself to training drama, film, and TV art talents for the country and the world. Facing the future, the Central Academy of Drama will firmly grasp the opportunities to deepen the reform of higher education and accelerate the development of the school system. The Academy also promotes international innovations and carries out multilateral exchanges and cooperation with the world's drama education institutions, end quote. Yet, its, quote, Department of Western Opera program has had a tenuous relationship with the Central Academy of Drama, as implied by its own description. So what I read before was the description of the Central Academy of Drama, and this is its description of the Department of Western Opera. Quote, the opera department was formerly called the Opera and Dance Drama Theater when the school was founded in 1949. In 1952, it produced several operas, which contributed a lot to the new opera movement at that time. In 1984, the Academy resumed the opera program for a period of time. In 2012, after discussion, the opera department was officially reinstated, end quote. So Professor Shi and then Professor Muus, tell us about the unique challenges and opportunities facing the Department of Western Opera at the Central Academy of Drama. Professor Shi?
So at this moment, yeah, we have many experience. And about 3 years ago, the first time we invited Maestro Muus to be our maestro, to be our music director. Yeah, we make a lot of improvement, and now we hope to make more collaborate with the famous Merola program. Yes, I knew for many years. So today, so I'm very excited to talk with everybody of you. So in my opinion, I hope to invite Mrs. Jean. Okay, we want to invite all the singers from every country of the Merola program to come to our academy to sing on our center stage, and also we can send our young students with a talent to
Professor Shi, I'm sorry, we're losing a little bit of your voice because of the internet connection. Can you still hear us? Okay, good. As long as you're still there. What a fantastic invitation, extraordinary invitation indeed, to come to Beijing and collaborate. Jean, what's your response?
Well, I think it's a fabulous opportunity to exchange our young artists and have some go to China. And certainly we welcome them here. We've had, as I mentioned before, we've had some spectacular tenors from Beijing and other great artists, pianists and mezzos and every range. And so we look forward to working more closely with our colleagues in China. They do have extraordinary talent over there and extraordinary technical voice teachers that really know how to grow and establish a very good career for these young artists. And what we can provide is sort of the finishing school for them as learning more about the languages and staging and all of that may not be available to them in China with all the resources that we have here in the United States and throughout Europe. So yes, we would love to do that and would love to have access to some of your fabulous teachers in Beijing.
Wow, that's fantastic. Professor Shi, can you hear us now? Is the internet connection any better?
Yes, we hear everything.
Fantastic. And Niels,
May I say something, Jimmy?
please, by all means.
Because I feel I sit a little in the middle here, you know, and that is actually also why I'm here, you know, exactly this kind of collaborations.
Yes.
I am here to further and for the future and to see that we all work together. And I think there's a lot also for European artists possibilities here in the future, and there's also, of course, on the other side, a lot for the Chinese artists, as Jean says, also to get out of programs, especially here you see the opening scene of the Traviata we're just running right now, and go be in contact with the Merola program. A lot of our students are studying in all the main American musical institutions from Manhattan to Manus to New England Conservatory, etc., etc. But of course, I think our job is to really make it easier for all the young talent that they can show themselves all over the world. I'm of course, you know, I come from Vienna, and there we have, of course, extremely good opportunities for young students because there are so many in to say it quite honestly, the operations is to I would say to 60-70% in German-speaking countries. But I think we should further much more collaboration from Europe to America, and also from Asia to America.
Yes.
For the future. That's what we want.
Yes.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Jean, you want to say something?
No.
Oh, no.
That's
Great. Well, then let's bring in Sahel. Sahel, what do you think about that? Clearly, you know the U.S. scene very, very well. Are you interested in going there to China to get to know this different culture, this different opera scene?
Absolutely. No, I've had the privilege of both being able to study here in America and in London. I studied in my master's course in London, and I was very fortunate to have been able to travel around there as well. And what I found remarkable about the conservatories and the programs that were not only in London, but in the Netherlands and Spain, and they were able to unite so many different parts of the world. They were able to connect with so many different institutions that represented so many different communities that were also finding the same connection to opera as we do in America as well. And I mean, it's phenomenal because I went to the University of Texas at Austin for my undergraduate degree. And originally I was studying something completely different. But when I switched into opera, I started to realize that specifically there in Austin, there was such a great connection between that university and one of the main conservatories in South Korea. And we had an exchange program where so many students were able to come to America and were able to study. And I was thrown for a loop because I was able to understand singing from so many different perspectives. There were so many different ways of getting to the same sort of end product, sort of results that we were looking for all along. I would love to go to China. I've found actually Richard Troxel is a tenor that I've been fortunate enough to have gotten to know, to work with, who has actually spent quite a bit of time there performing in some of these beautiful spaces that I didn't even know had existed beforehand. And some of my best friends, Ihan Duan, is from China, and this soprano, I mean, I don't know where you find talent like this. I don't know if it's just luck, but the truth is there is such there are so many incredibly talented people who all over the world who haven't been invested in or haven't found the right teacher, the right person to communicate with them in the right way to help them achieve their goals. And I mean, she is one of those people for me that I look at her and I only hope that I will get to learn some of the other things, other sides of this job that she found in China. So to see Merola, a place that I find very, very close and dear to me, a home, if you will, connecting with different communities such as those in China, I think that is a huge step forward for our industry and what that could bring. I mean, we live in an age where there are more opera singers today than there ever have been. And how lucky we are that we have this opportunity to connect as we do now with internet, which we didn't have back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, the years of the golden age of opera. Well, now we have an opportunity to sort of reclaim that age in our own future. And I think this is certainly the way forward.
Wow, inspiring. And clearly I hear you, Sahel. It sounds like you are also on your track to eventually become then one of the mentors at Merola and to be training and forming this next generation of opera singers. So that's very, very inspiring also. So I want to listen again to... Yes,
Simeon.
yes, please, Niels.
Okay, it's so wonderful to hear this from Sahel. You know, it is exactly the kind of language you want to hear from young people. You're a great guy.
Thank you very much, Professor. I very much appreciate you.
No, you're our friend. It's great to hear. Yeah.
Okay, so let's have, this is Sahel. We're going to see him sing and we're going to see him dance. Great. Wow. Now, and Sahel, tell us, how did you learn those moves?
Oh gosh, you know, I got to tell you. So when I was about 15 or 16, I joined a choir and I was learning how to do this whole thing, this whole performance thing. I was singing mostly rock and pop songs back then. And they likened me in the audience during one performance to an Indian gyrating Elvis. And I guess that thought hasn't gone away. And I'll tell you, you know, that performance was very special because the man playing on the piano is Craig Terry, and he is incredible. He is famous for his ability to improvise. He is slick on the piano, I'll tell you that right now. We were able to form a recital around the concept of what it is. You know, you have German lieder, you have French melody, you have Italian songs. Of course, the song literature is wonderful, but American song literature, now that is far reaching. There are so many different styles of American song, and we wanted to take from some of these old school advertising and the way that brands actually found their way into the American view. And he was so clever with some of the repertoire choices. We ended up putting on this recital, and the audience went wild. They loved it, and it really is a nod to how important it is to bring the audience to all these different places, to be able to experiment in the musical repertoire, and to think about what that could mean, this style of programming for the future. So we were able to see, Gene, maybe you can help me. I can't quite remember the name of that opera playing at San Francisco last summer. The Chinese opera. There's a
Dream of the Red Chamber.
The Dream of the Red Chamber. I have been learning about new music for a long time. My roots are in Donizetti and Verdi and Puccini. I love that stuff. That is food for the soul. But when I saw The Dream of the Red Chamber with a tenor that I respect very much, Konu Kim, this show was life-changing. I mean, you saw in this show a branching out in opera. What new things can be made, what new things can be brought to the literature. So yeah, no, I have to say, like, the future looks very bright for our industry if we can continue to invest in this sort of thinking and this sort of mentality.
Okay, so that brings us to our third roundtable. What is the opera scene today, and how has it changed in just a few short years? I'd like to start with Jean and then go to Professor Muus and Sahel. So in spring, it would be April 2020. Just 3 years ago, singing was perhaps one of the most dangerous social activities. Although the pandemic is widely considered over, ramifications from it remain. Jean, so tell us, on April 12th, 2023, what is the opera scene now?
2023, we're back up and running full force. It's very exciting. There have been so many changes over the past 3 years, not just the pandemic, but many cultural changes that have been going on. You see in American opera now, there is much more new music by diverse composers, much more diversity on the stage. It's widely accepted. I mean, for years and years and years, I had been wanting to have more diversity in opera, and now it's become mandatory. And I can't tell you how happy that makes me. It's just fantastic that everyone is getting the opportunity and getting the exposure. I must say that some of the young artists who struggled so hard during the pandemic, that had no job singing, they became entrepreneurs and did their own thing and promoted themselves. And I will tell you, 3 or 4 of them have skyrocketing careers since then. Just Rayanne Bryce Davis is one of them. She's just been amazing. Karen Slack, who's now doing a lot of consulting with a lot of opera companies artistically. Kenneth Kellogg, his career has taken off because they all found avenues how to express themselves, either through video and being socially active, that they were recognized and now are seen as are great leaders in the operatic world. So as difficult as it was during that time period, it has brought new light to these young artists, for many artists to find new ways of dealing with situations. And it's just turned this world upside down so much. Every opera company is doing new music now, premiering new works. We're doing one in recital in June, where we have commissioned a young African-American artist, her name is Brittany Boykin, to write a song cycle for Sydney Outlaw, one of our alumni, famous alumni, and it's called 26 Ways of Looking at a Black Man. It's written by, Raymond Patterson is the author. So we have a Black librettist, a Black composer, and a Black singer. doing this work, and it's just been an extraordinary project, and wonderful to be a part of it as we go along.
Okay, and Professor Shi can tell us about what the opera scene is like now, 3 years after the pandemic was declared.
Okay. Yeah. The past 3 years, it was so difficult. We had so many ideas in the next future. Want to make we plan to make some new original opera is one idea, and the second idea is we want to do more Western opera, such as Donizetti, Le Nozze di Figa, no, Risi d'Amore, Don Pasquale, and Rossini, Il Barbiere di Siviglia, Le Conte Ori, and some La Donna del Lago, and some other, and Mozart aria. And the third plan is the third idea is we want to invite a foreign singer. Yeah, no, the singers from every countries to come to China to sing with us together, to sing Chinese opera. You know, at this moment in Beijing, the opera stage, yeah, we produced many Chinese operas. So every year in China, we built 100 new Chinese operas at this moment. So of course we may select the right opera for us to collaborate each other to sing together. Yeah, for me, my hope, my best wishes is invite the singer from Merola program to come to our academy to learn how to sing, how to perform with our young student, with our excellent singers together, and I wish to send our students to go to America, such as San Francisco, to be educated there. So I knew that the Merola program is a very great group and team. So you have a very good and famous maestro. So that's all. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Professor Muus?
Yeah. Wow, the pandemic has not been easy for the opera business. And there's no doubt that the opera business is going to suffer a great deal from this in the coming years. We don't have to lie to ourselves, but we should also see this as an opportunity, also a change space for new repertoire, for a kind of new diversity, open up for things that we maybe did not think as easy as this as before. There we must look into the future, and I think the future consists of those things, and the future consists also of really internationalizing this opera business and include the whole world.
Okay. So last question goes to you, Sahel. Why is opera important today? Why will it be important tomorrow?
I mean, where to start with this question? You know, in the context of your previous question, we think about coronavirus and how it's affected the world on every scale, in every way, in every culture. And what a relief it was. This was the most common comment feedback that I got from that period where we were finally able to put together operas and perform them live again for the public, these members of the audience would come up to us performers and tell us, it's been so long since we felt anything like that. Live theater, it evokes, it provokes a relationship between everyone that is present, that you can't really get anywhere else. It is a timeless practice, and in all the forms that it takes, it brings that side of humanity, that connection. And opera, in opera, I mean, you know, I had nothing to do with opera. My family knows nothing about opera. They have no idea how I do what I do. They don't understand why I like the certain things that I like, but they see my love for it. They saw what it did to me growing up. When you take your best friend to the opera, as an opera singer, when you take someone to the opera and they've never seen one before, it's like going to the movies. You sit in a dark room, you've done all the exciting things, you've talked to the people that you're going with beforehand, you bought your snacks, you go and sit in that dark room, and then that giant screen comes down, it widens, and the lights go on, and the sound, it just is so encompassing, it surrounds you, and you feel it so deeply, it's like you're there. I mean, they call opera Gesamtkunstwerk in Germany, right? It is an all-encompassing art of visual art, of auditory art, to be in the presence of all these other people in the audience. You start to react, not as individuals, but as a group as well. This is not there. I remember when I was first learning about opera and what it was, and people called it a dying art. Well, I was 19 when I heard that. And I guarantee you, when I say that there are more opera singers today than there ever have been in the history of the world, it's true. This is not dying. This is beautiful. This is real. This is natural. It feels like I've accessed a part of my body, my mind, that a freedom that you really can't get from most other parts of life. This is a specific form of entertainment that the people who don't know about it, they don't know about it until they see it for the first time. So if you have that friend, that family member who doesn't understand why you love this field, you have to take them. You have to show them. And maybe start with one of those romantic ones, Traviata, Bohème. Oh man, if you were to take them to Gianni Schicchi, I'm sure the audience would go wild. That's very often one of the first ones to take someone to is Magic Flute. It's so fantasy. It's all about fantasy in that world, but how we can relate to Papageno, to Tamino, to Pamina, of course, and then you can start to branch out from there. But you know, it all comes down to connecting with other people, wherever they're from and whatever background they come from. There is so much to explore in this, and it relates to everyone. Everyone will feel something in the opera. So this isn't going anywhere. It isn't going away anytime soon. Not on my watch, not on Jean's watch, not on our professors there, she and Professor Muus. We're gonna make sure that people know that this exists.
Okay, fantastic. So let's see how to stay in touch with all 4 of our featured guests. So first we have the Merola.org is the website of the Merola program. So Jean, people can reach out to you just by going to the contact button, info@merola.org, is that right?
Yes, they can reach me there. And that beautiful opening picture was of a Chinese soprano who has a major career named Meg Weizong. I just thought I would mention that. And she's from Beijing, I believe, just outside of Beijing.
Fantastic.
The previous picture.
And so Professor Muus, people, they're able to take a look at your website here. It's web.chongji.cn, and it's all in English. Is this the best way for people to reach you?
Oops.
Professor,
Yeah.
Professor Shi, Professor Muus. Okay, fantastic. So then there's the email is excuse me for my pronunciation now, chongxi@chongxi.cn. So there it is, the Central Academy of Drama. And Sahel Salam has his own website, sahelsalamtenor.com. Sahel, people can reach out to you by clicking contact here. Is that right?
Absolutely. That'll in the contact Sahel section, it'll go straight to my email, my personal email, and I'll make sure to respond to anyone who would love to have a chat.
Fantastic. So thank you so very much to Jean Kellogg, to Professor Shi Lei, and Professor Niels Muus, and to Sahel Salam.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's
So-
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Everyone.
Thank you so much.
So let's take a look at what's coming up next week on Vienna Live. It is the Olavinlinna Castle. The small picturesque Finnish city of Savonlinna is an international heavyweight in European culture and arts. Since 1912, the Savonlinna Opera Festival welcomes the globe's most sought-after singers, stage designers, and high-level diplomats to the Olavinlinna Castle. The Olavinlinna Castle is the northernmost medieval castle in the world. Besides hosting the Summer Opera Festival, it is part of the National Museum of Finland and open to the public year-round. Anna Paulausu, the castle's general coordinator, joins Vienna Live to give us an exclusive tour of this extraordinary museum. Furthermore, Chieko Okabe Silvasti, director of opera at the Savonlinna Secondary School of the Arts, and Jorma Silvasti, former director of the Savonlinna Opera Festival, will be there with two of Savonlinna's next generation opera talent, singer Maxim Ogay and pianist Alexei Rybakov, who will serenade us with Mozart and Schumann. That is next week, next Wednesday, the Olavinlinna Castle. As always, all information about upcoming shows may be found at www.simeonmorrow.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Jean Kellogg, to Professors Shi Lei, Professor Niels Muus, and to Sahel Salam. Thank you to Professor Lino Rivera, and to Victoria and Frederick Mulligan, and Agnieszka and Benoit Rivolet for their support. Most of all, thanks to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile from New London, New Hampshire, the Bay Area, California, and Beijing, China. Goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.